and taking turns. Well, I have a story about Mr. Tortoise here. And Mr. Tortoise isn't always very honest and fair. Actually, sometimes he's a little bit greedy. And that greed led to him having a bald head. You see that? You see how he has a bald head?
Yeah.
Well, a long time ago, Mr. Tortoise didn't have a bald head. A long time ago, he used to have long, beautiful hair. And he loved his hair. But because he was greedy, he ended up losing it. So this is what happened. Mr. Dog, who lived across the street from Mr. Tortoise, was cooking up a big pot of yam porridge. Mr. Tortoise could smell it. And he followed his nose across the street and went into Mr. Dog's house. And he saw the porridge, and he wanted that porridge. Oh, he wanted that porridge all to himself. He didn't want to share it with anybody. So he decided to make up a lie to tell Mr. Dog and his family. Mr. Tortoise said, Mr. Dog, I have a message from the king. Yes, it's a message from the king. He would like you and your family to go and meet him at his palace. Oh, why, thank you, Tortoise, said Mr. Dog. Thank you for bringing us this message. And so Mr. Dog gathered up his family, and they all went to go see the king. And they left Mr. Tortoise alone with a big pot of yam porridge. Well, Mr. Tortoise looked and he watched, and he waited until the dog family went around the corner, and then he ran over to the porridge, and you know what he did?
Eat it.
He started eating it, you're right, and he ate it. He ate it as fast as he could, and he had to eat it so fast because he knew that he had told a lie and that the king wasn't really at his palace, so that the dog family would be back soon. So he just ate it up. He wanted to get it all to himself. He didn't want to share with anyone. Well, pretty soon, he heard the dog family coming back. And there was still a little bit of porridge left on the stove, so he wanted to even take that with him. So he started looking around for something to put the porridge in. Oh, the dog family was at the door now. So the only thing he could find was the cap on his head. So he took off his hat, he filled it with the rest of the yam porridge, and he put it back on his head. And boy, was it hot. Well, Mr. Dog and his family came back in. Oh, you're still here, Mr. Tortoise. Well, isn't that great, said Mr. Dog. We're making all this delicious yam porridge. Would you like to stay and have lunch with us? We would love to share our lunch with you. Well, Mr. Tortoise was starting to sweat. His head was starting to burn from the hot porridge. So he said, oh, no, Mr. Dog, no, I have to get going. Well, Mr. Dog said, oh, no, we insist. Stay with us. Share our food with us. Well, at that moment, the porridge on Mr. Tortoise's head got so hot that he had to pull the hat off. Everyone was shocked to see the stolen porridge in Mr. Tortoise's hat. But you know what? They were even more shocked to see what had happened to Mr. Tortoise's beautiful long hair. It had all fallen out. It had gotten burned off his head. Well, that's why to this day, because he did not share, Mr. Tortoise ended up with no hair. The end.